Okay. And you can go ahead and, I think, advance to the next slide, and then we can let Stephen Burry, our board chairman, take us into the introduction.
Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you, even virtually. And it's been a very strange year, yes. I just want to report on our board annual meeting last week on December the 1st. And I was reappointed chair and re-elected for another year, as was Sylvia. Gail Coleman was appointed treasurer, Neil Grenley, secretary, and Asher Schlüsselberg as vice chair. We have a new board member, Paul John, who you might know from Endless Editions. And sadly, Brian Hannon had to resign for personal reasons, but we hope to have him back as soon as possible. I just want to thank Corinna and her staff for battling their way through the epidemic and all its consequences. And especially a big mention to the board who stood up and supported the centre in its hour of need, and everybody else who has supported the centre in this hour of peril for us all. And I just pass it on really now to Corinna to take us through to the next bit. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Stephen. Yeah, it has been such an interesting year. The COVID 2019 has been just an absolutely interesting year for Center for Book Arts. Jenna, I think that's the wrong slide. Oh, okay. Okay. We can just, I'm gonna go ahead and switch the screen share over to me because I have this section and we can swap back later, okay? Sorry, everyone. Thank you. Okay. Alrighty. Thank you for bearing with me here. Okay. All right. So yeah, it's been an absolutely interesting year at Center for Book Arts. We on the staff have all been dealing with an incredible amount of change, as I'm sure everyone else on this call has been as well. We took everything at Center for Book Arts online in a record amount of time. I just want to especially thank our staff, in particular, Jenna Hamed and Kelsey King, who did an incredible amount of work to get the classes online. And Jenna will tell you more about our programs, how they've gone over the year, as well as a little bit about what's coming up. But I also wanted to take a moment to thank our board of directors, who have been an unbelievable base of support for me and the staff throughout the pandemic, both financially, but then also just, for advice and so much more. So thank you very much. And especially thank you to Stephen and Gail, who I'll be introducing in just a moment. So tonight's program is going to be really, I think, kind of fun. You're going to hear a little bit about the finances from Gail Coleman, our treasurer, in just a moment. I'll talk a little bit about some of the fundraising that we've been doing, and then I'll be passing it off to Emily Marenker, who is our special projects manager at Center for Book Arts. And then she'll be passing it off to another one of our staff members. And so you'll get to hear a little bit from each of our staff about all the things that we've been up to this year and everything that we have coming up. At the end, we hope to have some small group discussions with you all and give you a chance to meet each other from all over the world where everyone is. And so after we finish the kind of formal presentation, hang on and we'll kind of organize that meet and greet. So now I'm going to pass it off to Gail Coleman, who has been, as I mentioned earlier, just an unbelievable source of support for me this year at Center for Book Arts. She's really done a lot to organize our finances at CBA, and she is going to be talking to you about the 2019 financials. So Gail, if you want to, there we go.
Everybody, thanks very much. Do you have my slides in there, Jenna? Oh, here we go. It's kind of small. I'm going to talk about the year ended December 31, 2019, which of course was quite a while ago. But this chart on the left shows the statement of activity for compared with the 2018. So, obviously a long time ago. The revenues were down slightly, and even though the grants, the foundation grants and individual grants and so on were up strongly. The expenses were also down, and that shows up as black instead of red because that's a positive, that's a favorable variance. So we were able to mitigate the downdraft in revenues with a more than offset by reduction in expenses, and we're able to substantially improve the net revenues. So it was all in all a very good year for the Center for Book Arts. The statement of financial position, I'm just going to look on my chart here, shows the net assets of the company, of the organization, going up, and to the tune of $90,000. So you can see our total equity went up, our assets went up $120,000, and our liabilities went up by only $28,000. So the balance of that was in equity. So that's a very comfortable balance sheet. As far as 2020, we can tell you that certainly revenues have been off to a great degree, as you might imagine, with the center being closed for, well, since March. And the staff, and Karina in particular, have done a masterful job of really reorienting the center, and she'll tell you about that. And she's kept up the tuition in the form of online classes and so on. And also we've been able to take advantage of some COVID relief from the government mandated CARES Act, et cetera, to keep the balance sheet in good shape for 2021. But and of course we have high hopes for when we can reopen the center, and but we do know that the New York environment is going to be struggling overall. So there'll be stress on contributions and grants. But fiscally, I think the center's in good shape to face 2021. I'd be happy to take any questions either now or at the end. Thanks.
Thank you, Gail. Yeah, if anyone has questions, go ahead and pop those into the chat. Let me, oh, where is my chat here? It's hidden. Let's see. Jenna, if you see anyone in the chat with questions for Gail, could you let us know?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so I am going to go ahead and move on. And Gail, if we have questions for you, we'll circle back, okay?
No problem.
All right, thanks. Okay, so this year at Center for Book Arts, we have had actually really an overwhelming amount of support. And I just wanted to first off say thank you to everyone. This is just a small list of some of our most appreciated donors this year. And so I just wanted to thank each of you as well as everyone else who contributed in amounts small and large for your amazing generosity to the Center for Book Arts. We also received support from various foundations this year. And as Gail mentioned, the New York Community Trust was really instrumental in supporting the Center for Book Arts through COVID-19. We received a really generous grant from them to help supplement the impact of COVID and what it had on Center for Book Arts. We also this year received a very generous grant from the Pine Tree Foundation to support our collections initiative. And you'll be hearing from Theo Roth, our collections manager, later about all the things that have been going on in collections over the past year. Additionally, we received several donations in memoriam, and I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the memory of A.W. Driver, Ruth E. Edwards, Shan Ellen Tuck, Susan Kelser, Nancy Norton Tomasco, and Tony Zwicker. So let's just take a moment of pause for them. Okay, so thank you to our donors, funders, members. It's because of you that we're all still here today. Okay, and now I'm going to pass it off to Emily Maranker, Special Projects Manager, so she can talk to you about our individual giving campaign this year and membership, as well as a few other things. Emily, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. Okay, passing it over to you.
Right. Hello, everyone. It is wonderful to be here with you virtually. And I just have to start out by thanking our board, my amazing teammates, and all of you community members for just making this a really incredible year. And my work has been a huge touchstone for me in getting through just such bizarre times. So thank you for that. And I have lots of really good and exciting things to share. So next slide. Oh, amazing. Thank you, Karina. So one of the new things we introduced this year was a new database system for managing our donors and charitable contributions. And I'm excited to say that I've looked at a lot of growth in the donors that we have. We have 51% more active donors this year than the same time last year. And these are as pretty images as I can manage from my area, but you can see the different areas of participation that our first-time givers are in. So it's a lot of membership. We saw a huge participation in our summer appeal in relief for the COVID crisis. Education has been a huge element, and that money in particular is being split between us and our instructors, our amazing teaching artists. And then right now you're also seeing the annual fund taking up a bigger chunk of that pie as well. One thing that is very exciting to note about this is that most of our donors give more than once during the year, which for a small arts nonprofit is quite striking. So people view their financial relationship with the center not just as one membership or a thank you donation to an amazing teacher or participating in one campaign. It's a combination of all of these different things throughout the year. And I think it's just because we have such great programming that we're able to offer that we see that happening, and we wouldn't be able to do that without a really amazing discussion and ongoing conversation with our community. Next slide, please. Thank you. So right now we're engaged in the end of the year appeal, and wanted to get some pretty images up right away. One part of that is our first ever online auction. We were unable to do an in-person one this spring due to the pandemic, and this fund that all the monies raised go to keep book arts available, affordable, and accessible for all these voices and perspectives. We have not only this online auction going on right now, we also sent out a letter. There are email and social media components to the campaign, most notably Giving Tuesday, which was last Tuesday, though that fundraiser, particularly on Facebook, is still ongoing. And for the auction right now, it's been a learning experience to get it up there. So again, my thanks to everybody who's helped with that. We have over 24 amazing pieces by our community for the benefit of the community. This will be going on through December 21st, and you can bid online as well as purchasing outright if you really fall in love with a piece. You can opt to get text or email updates when you're outbid on an item, and you're also able to contribute directly to areas that mean a lot to you at the center. So, our equipment funds, supporting instructors, the collections, scholarships for students, those kinds of things as well. So again, this has been a learning experience, but so far it's been quite positive. And as of about 3 p.m. this afternoon, we have raised a little over $16,000 for our end of the year campaign. So again, thanks to the community for all of that support. Next slide, please. Another area that I oversee is our membership. And this is the pie chart you're looking at right now is a breakdown of the different levels of membership that we have. And this is also growing in participation this year. You can see that we've got more members than this time last year. I'm actually happy to say that number is already out of date. It is in fact 118 members now. We restructured membership earlier this year. So you have the ability to pay on an annual or a monthly basis. And at the $240 or $20 a month level, we are able to give access to our newly launched online archive of CBA classes and other offerings, which has been really exciting. And particularly when we're all doing social distancing and staying in place, that's been a real boon to us. The concentration this year has been on reactivating lapsed members from 2 or more years ago. So we're reconnecting with our existing community as well as welcoming new folks. I'm happy to say that we have 44 folks who have rejoined us after having lapsed. And we're also seeing a big uptick in movement up the different levels of membership, which I think is letting us know that restructuring it was a really powerful thing to do for our community. Next slide, please. Over the summer, looking a little further back here, we had a really amazing campaign, the Legacy to Liberation, and we really outstripped our goals here. Our goal was to raise where are my numbers? The goal was 50,000 from the board, with a match of 25,000 coming from the community. We raised more on both scores. So in fact, we did about 59% over the goal from our community alone, which was really incredible. So you can see those, fantastic orange blocks there, just giving you a sense of that. Next slide. And these are the specific numbers there. So you can see this. A lot of that just has to do, I think, with our really responding to our community's needs during this time. And if you ever wonder when you submit a donation form, if any of those notes or optional lines, I see all of that. I read all of that. It means so much, not just the amounts that I'm seeing. And when people, teachers, staff members get called out, I always share it with them. So the human connection that is behind all these numbers is very real and powerful. And one of the new things that I'm beginning to put into place, next slide, there we go, is legacy giving for the center. So this is a way to continue the Center of Book Arts as the hub of accessible explorations of the book as an art object. Legacy gifts can take many different forms. These can be gifts of stocks or bonds, could be adding the center as a beneficiary of retirement assets, using what's called a QCD from your IRA if you have one, including the center in your will or trust. Feel free to reach out to me or my colleagues with any question about what kind of plans are best for you. Ultimately, these gifts are establishing a really strong foundation for the book arts that allows it to thrive as a practice, and the long-term security that this gives to the center just really serves our growing community. So it's been very exciting to put that into practice. And it just is an incredible way to nurture the many different voices that we are trying to uplift with our work. So all the images here on out will be much more exciting, I promise you. Thank you to Karina, and I'm actually going to hand it over to a video from our colleague Devin in marketing, who is unable to join us, but has creatively found her way around that.
Oh, that's really good.
Hi everyone, thank you again for joining us for our annual meeting. What a delightful celebration. My name is Devin and I am the marketing manager with Center for Book Arts, and I started in March 2020. I came to the organization with a background in performance studies, book and paper making, and nearly a decade in nonprofit communications and marketing, community organizing, and a commitment to New York City's rich history of cultural work. My vision of marketing is very much intertwined with my own personal art practice, as well as the role that anti-racism and accessibility play into the ways we share, witness, learn, and grow collectively. For the last 8 months, I've been hard at work with our designers, Studio Set, and our developers reinventing our website and brand for the center. We've seen many iterations, but none as succinct as this. The launch of our new website, which just happened last week, encompassed much consideration around the center's archive, the relationship between text and image, and the idea of the book being a sequence of containers and relationships a la Ulysses' Carry On. The designers wanted the website to be just this. What we've achieved with the website in the last 8 months was tiring, but is astounding to witness in its completion, and in the ways that we understand the center not only as a place for exhibition and education, but for research and collective making. We wanted the website to be reflective of this, to wholly showcase the ways that we work to uplift artists, scholars, and our larger book arts community across disciplines, interests, and experiences. In May 2020, we created a Black Lives Matter solidarity statement and the beginnings of an internal strategy toward anti-racism, equity, and accessibility in the workplace, as well as our larger book arts community. The statement was shared via newsletter as well as highlighted on our website and social media platforms, and garnered a lot of positive feedback. To accompany this, we offered several free protest poster workshops, as well as free contactless poster pickup. This was a way to both rapidly and concretely respond to the movement work being done all over the world in solidarity with Black activists, organizers, and makers. The internal strategy was then passed along to the board and is now in the process of being refined and turned into a policy by our anti-racism task force comprised of board and staff members. In addition to this, I curated a selection of broadsides from our bookshop featuring poetry by Black poets in an effort to raise funds for the following Black art-centered organizations: Black Art Futures Fund, the Laundromat Project, and Black Trans Femmes in the Arts Collective. We were able to raise $5,000 for the organizations and sold more broadsides in 1 month than ever before, including having several broadsides sell out within days. All funds after that, nearly $1,000 at this point, were put toward the pilot of our Book Arts Toward Liberation programming, organized by myself and Jenna, and curated by Gina Valentine and Heather Hart of Black Lunch Table. And we're looking toward implementing many of the themes covered into our future programming. Because I started working with the center just 2 weeks after the COVID-19 pandemic set in, some of our most important digital communications work has been done in this time. And we have a few little highlights. We've gained over 8,000 new Instagram followers, gained over 3,000 new mailing list subscribers, opened a consistently updated YouTube channel to archive our virtual events, and we've seen more new users than ever visiting our online learning page on our website, making up nearly half of our website traffic. We also had our very first membership drive where we were able to increase our membership by over 25%. Another huge thing in our communications in the last 8 months was thinking about access, right? So we're thinking about the ways a virtual event makes it so that people from all over the world are able to attend our events. But access isn't just putting on a virtual event. It's been a huge catalyst in growing our reach, and we've experimented with various methods of engagement, including posting mini book art tutorials on Instagram, which were wildly popular, collecting documentation of our community's art made from home, poster workshops, creating an online archive of our classes and events with exclusive access for members as well as general public access. And this has, again, made it possible for people who live all over the globe to view and share our programming. But looking toward 2021, our commitment to accessibility will be at the forefront. We've already implemented closed captioning for public programming and are creating protocols around alt text for our website and social media. These are small steps toward creating an accessible digital environment, which we will continue to expand. We also hope to continue to broaden our partnerships with related organizations near and far, including virtual and in-person co-programming, cross-promotion, and other sustainable ways to leverage each other's networks and communities. And that's about it. Thank you so much for listening.
All right, hello everyone. Collections are up next. My name is Theo, and I look after our collections here or there at the Center for Book Arts. And I want to start, before I say anything more, to thank the board for their support this past year, and the CBA community at large for similar support as well. And also, I'd like to give a big thank you to the Pine Tree Foundation for its continued support of our collections at the Center for Book Arts. Next slide, please. So this year we added over 500 new items to the collections, and this has been all sorts of objects. We've had artist books, new prints, zines, chapbooks, mail art, and other sort of subscription services that have continued to come into our door and into the collection this year, which has been exciting. And I have a few examples up on the screen here. On the left, we have Clarissa Sly's Transforming Hate, an artist book, which was kindly donated by Deirdre Lawrence. And on the far right, we have a chapbook titled Altamira by Lawrence Goldstein that was printed by Butch Matthews, Mark Watson, and Harry Duncan, and illustrated by David Newbert. These were part of a set of works from Abattoir Press out of the University of Nebraska that were generously donated by Jacqueline Lipsky during this year. We've also made new additions to our reference library as well. As you can see in the middle, we have Amy Lee's Hanji Unfurled, One Journey on Korean papermaking. This is in addition to other items for our reference library that relate to what people do in our studio and in our classes. So we have books on printing, calligraphy, papermaking, bookbinding, type specimens, and all sorts of exhibition catalogs and artist monographs that were added this year, all related to the book arts. And I'd also like to say that our growth is largely made possible by the generosity of individuals who donate to the center. And I'd like to thank a few people in particular at this moment, starting with David Rose, Deirdre Lawrence, James Prez, Jacqueline Lipsky, Francois Deschamps, Maimena Farhat, Farida Mareb, forgive the dogs behind me, Karen Hanmer, and Yvonne Wong. A big thank you to all of them and to everyone who's donated work to the collection. Next slide, please. So here we have 2 zines that were added to the collection this year and also added to our online catalog. On the left is Smuggling Books Across the Border by Layla Abdulrazak. And on the right is Not Taking Myself Seriously, A Process by Vaxig Milo. That one in particular has been helpful as we've navigated this year, at least in my case. So all of these are examples of the over 900 new entries that we've added to our online catalog throughout the year. In addition to these new acquisitions, I focused on fleshing out records related to our programming history. So that includes our broadsides from our annual reading series, chapbooks and broadsides from our annual chapbook contest, and exhibition catalogs from our exhibitions throughout our history. So those new additions bring the total number of records in our catalog to just under 7,000 individual entries. Next slide, please. All right, so here we have a really exciting chart demonstrating the growth of use in collections on monthly average, which I'm really excited about. Though the pandemic threw a wrench into everyone's plans and activities, we started off the year really strong with our average use from the collection. And that's been really encouraging to see the numbers go up in such a great way. And then from March, we've done our best to adapt to provide access to the collections remotely. For those who aren't able to be in our space at this time, though we've reopened to a certain degree, we've been able to hold reference visits virtually, conduct a remote archival research on behalf of those who aren't able to visit the space. We've started to do more scanning, imaging, and video making of materials for users. And we've taken advantage of Zoom to show off collection highlights to classes who would regularly come into our space. Next slide, please. We've continued to highlight collections through our regular email communications and through, sorry, 1 second. We continue to highlight collections in our regular emails and through our social media channels to showcase the different types of artwork we have and all of the different resources we have within the collections. This has included individual posts on individual items. And this year we've started to curate what we call our mini digital exhibitions, which appear on our social channels. And they're usually 6 to 10 items that are focused on an individual theme and draw from the fine art collection. So pictured on the right, we have an example of the start of one of those exhibitions. This one was curated by Sophia Duvall, entitled Narrative Dissonance, Identity and Feminism in Artist Books. So we'd start with the group shot and then go into individual works, highlighting them and giving a little bit of exposition about each piece, which has been really great to see the engagement that we've been able to build with those. And then on the left, in conjunction with our exhibition programming, we've started to organize what we call our reading room. The goal of the reading room is to connect resources and artwork from the collections that complement the themes, ideas, artwork, and artists featured in our regular exhibitions, and to give visitors an opportunity to continue to explore those through our collections. In addition to items that we pull and curate from what we have, the curators from the exhibitions also contribute resources they've relied on in developing the exhibitions on display. And then for each one, we put together a zine that has all this information in a handy little takeaway, and serves as a rich resource for anyone who comes into our space and is eager to dive deeper into what we have on display at any given moment. And this particular one is our most recent reading room that was curated by Carolina Luna. Next slide, please. All right, so here is an item from our collection that I just wanted to show everyone quickly. This is called The Speechwriter by Bonnie Abidi. It was published by Raking Leaves in 2011 and is a recent acquisition for the collections. Through the 10 flip books, this work tells the story of a retired speechwriter who is reclusive, lives at home, and his only contact with the outside world is through a daily broadcast that he produces from that chair that we can see right now. And as you flip through the books, you see sort of his surroundings, how he approaches the day, prepares for this, and ends up broadcasting just through speakers right outside his apartment door. And this is a fun example that I like to pull for visiting groups because Abidi has done a lot of work in video. And it's interesting to see how that sort of storytelling is transformed through the medium of the book and flip books in particular. All right, next slide, please. And the last thing I'd like to touch on this year is our Book Art Research Fellowship, which we launched this year. We invited researchers and scholars in various fields related to book arts to submit research proposals drawing upon our unique collections. And we selected 2 from the bunch. One is Galina Mardelovich, who is researching and writing about the history and development of artist books in Russia. And our other fellow is Ellen Handy, whose research focuses on artist books that use photographic and photomechanical processes. So we invited them in at the start of the year. Galina started at the very middle of March, and her fellowship was interrupted, but we're going to pick up at the start of next year and welcome them both back into our space to keep going with the fellowship, which is an exciting development for the collections, for sure. All right, and that's all I have for the collections for this year. Feel free to ask any questions. And if you're interested in seeing anything or asking me more in another avenue, please feel free to email. I'm Theo at centerforbookarts.org, and I'd be very happy to be in touch. So thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to pass the baton on to Jenna.
Hey, can everyone see and hear me? All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jenna Hamid. I'm the programs manager at the Center for Book Arts, and I'm here at the Center for Book Arts. The space says hello, and it misses everyone dearly. I hope that we're all able to rejoice soon in real time and in flesh. But until then, it's so nice to see everyone in the virtual world. That's where we've been for the past couple months, and that's probably where we'll be for the time being. I'm just going to summarize the programs that I've been overseeing for the year, give you an overview of what we've accomplished, and we're also going to look at what's to come for the next year. So first, we're going to talk about education. So before the pandemic, we served about 350 students per year. Much of our student base was comprised of our artists in residence. After going virtual in April of this year, the Center for Book Arts began to serve an average of 300 students per month. To date, we've offered over 120 classes since the beginning of the year. The education team, in particular, the education coordinator, Kelsey King, played a huge role in successfully transitioning the education department online, getting instructors acclimated with the Zoom classroom setting, developing a ticketing system that accommodates to sliding scale tuition structures that we've implemented. And we've also worked to train instructors on best practices. The education model has allowed us to offer a range of classes with sliding scale fee, bring in students who have not been able to take our classes for financial and geographic implications. Another huge success of the education department is the fact that we've been able to support our instructors and new teaching artists by splitting proceeds with them, providing financial support to our instructors during this difficult time. So here's a picture of our classes, what our classes looked like before the pandemic. So we served, like I said, 350 students per year. Here you see 2020 book artist in residence Vincent Chong learning how to sew in twos for bookbinding 3, and you see Zoe Katz next to him. In this class, each student finished with their own copy of Suave Mechanicals, an academic publication about the history of bookbinding. Here's Celine Lombardi, one of the Center for Book Arts' best bookbinding instructors. She is showing students how to sew headbands. This is a group shot from Richard Minsky's recent virtual critique workshop that was held on September 16th of this year. So this is what the online classroom looks like. This is part of the center's ongoing push to strengthen the artist connection to a critical framework in the book arts. Ula Warkal and Heidi Kyle team teach ephemera catchers pleated display stands on October 1st, 2020. Heidi was one of the center's first instructors. In the past, it was challenging to bring Heidi here to teach a class because of travel difficulties. But online teaching has made it much easier for Heidi and other instructors to teach classes with us. So with our online education program, we've been able to bring in instructors from across New York City, from across the US and across the world. And here's Cheng Yu Chen, who is based in New York City, and she's one of our new instructors, and she has been teaching elective classes, lecture classes, and recently taught Bookbinding 1, or Introduction to Bookbinding. So I take pride in the fact that the center is one of the few places where you can view book art exhibitions and artist books and printed objects, and really hone in on this focus and this area of art. So to reflect that, we have a really exciting lineup of exhibitions for next year. So before going into next year, I just want to say that the exhibitions will remain in our galleries until further notice, but all accompanied programs will be held online. I have been receiving tremendous support from Zoe Katz and from our intern Carolina Luna. They helped me install the fall exhibitions that are currently up, Americans Looking In, curated by Emily Ahern and Sherry Littlefield. And we also have 2 exhibitions in our external galleries, construction site with Vivian Rombaldi Zepe, and Morcos Key Reads Makes with the design duo Wael Morcos and John Key. And those two were very instrumental in the installation of those exhibitions. And we plan to install our 4 exhibitions next year if conditions permit. So in the winter, we have an exhibition entitled Out of Sight, Beyond Touch, which was originally planned for spring 2021 and was postponed due to the pandemic. So this exhibition, curated by Mariam Qureshi, features a group of Iranian artists working in Iran and in the diaspora who each have works relating to the theme of touch. So here's a preview of some of the works in the show. When organizing this exhibition, we had absolutely no idea that this theme would be so prevalent in a year of social distancing. So it's all very interesting how timing played out with this exhibition. We're also featuring the winter 2021. We're also featuring the 2020 scholar residents in our galleries in the winter as well. And this show was supposed to be held in the spring too. And here's the preview of the works. And I'm gonna flip through. These are some of the works happening in the spring. So our studios never really closed to the pandemic, which allowed for the Center for Book Arts to serve as a sanctuary during these times of uncertainty. We've been lucky to have artists who are still dedicated to using the space, even through these unprecedented times. We held our broadside reading series online. Our fall broadside reading was curated by Asia Wadud, and our spring was curated by Asia Wadud, and fall was curated by Joey De Jesus. We also held our chapbook reading contest online, which was moderated by Raquel Salas Rivera. Following each poetry reading, we had broadside artists and chapbook artists present the production processes in their work. And here we have Erica Morillo giving an online talk about the collaborative process that she and Matt Collins worked on for the winning chapbook of this year. And the winning poet was Catarina Ramos Jordan. So we also had Aurora de Armendi and Ana Corziero work on the judges chapbook as well, and you can find those designs on our website. We managed to produce 14 broadsides and 2 chapbooks with the help of studio coordinator Liz Castaldo, who coordinated the production with these literary objects, working with the artist directly and coordinating any assistance that each artist needed and any support that they needed in the production of these works. We also had tremendous support from our stewards, and our stewards are Ronnie Gross and Keith Graham. They've also been really helpful in the production of these broadsides. So next year you can expect to see Puruvi Shah, who will be curating the spring 2021 broadside reading series, and Harmony Holiday, who will be curating the fall 2021 broadside series. We're also very excited to have Simone White, who will be the judge of the chapbook contest. So we just hit our first quarter mark with the 2020 book artists in residence, Alba Muses, Lisania Cruz, and Oswaldo Garcia. We recently named our new workspace residents, actually this past week, Rowan Renee, Renda Khalifa, and Yusuf Hassan. And we'll be sending out a press release to, outlining their practices and what they look forward to working on at the center in the next year. So this is just a brief overview of some of the programming that we've done in the midst of pandemic. And, you know, looking forward, we plan to be, as we plan to be online, our website will serve as a resource to house the documentation of each program so that more people will have access to watching each program and for gathering information to learn more about the book arts and to bring more awareness about this particular field. We also plan in the next year to continue our programming and to be a space where artists can find solitude and can find sanctuary in the work that they're doing. And people can come into our galleries and can see the work that's happening in the studios and make connections. We are so looking forward to next year. We have amazing programming planned, and we're so happy and grateful for everyone who supported us through this time. We've been working really hard to stay connected with our community and to maintain, you know, constant communication with our artists, with our audience, our students, our instructors. So again, thank you so much. And we'd also like to thank our interns and volunteers. We would be remiss without thanking them because they're also instrumental in the work that we do. So this past year we had Aiden Farrell, Leah Carlson Downey, Fernanda Penfold Perez, Carolina Luna, Leila Luhechi, Sophia Duval, Mandy Abukhair. For our volunteers, we had Matthew Collins and Chuck Peters. Many thanks to Isabel Chiang, Harun Butt, and Matthew Murphy. And thank you all so much for joining us. I'm going to pass it on to Karina, who will wrap up the presentation with some remarks.
Thank you, Jenna, very much for that really informational and insightful look into programs. And thank you to Theo and Emily for the wonderful presentations that you guys gave about your aspects of Center for Book Arts. So I just want to talk a little bit about looking forward into 2021. We have a lot of really exciting programs, as Jenna mentioned, related to exhibitions and poetry readings. We also have a few new initiatives starting. Earlier this year, myself and two collaborators, Dave Solo and Megan and Liberty, published a manifesto for new book art criticism in the Brooklyn Rail, and we're really excited to start a new journal for artist books. So beginning in spring 2021, we will launch the Book Art Review with a range of activities, including open public discussions about what artist book criticism should look like and what the field currently lacks, producing educational resources and classes for prospective writers, and also to educate writers who are already working in the art criticism field, but may lack the detailed knowledge needed to write about artist books. We will be printing a physical journal and also publishing reviews online. We will be starting a prize for book art criticism, which is so needed to inspire new writers to take up the pen for this important medium. And we are going to begin doing public outreach and educational programs. So stay tuned for that. If you go onto our website to the centerforbookarts.org/BAR, you can sign up to receive updates on that initiative. Also related to that, this year, the Center for Book Arts has started to organize the Contemporary Artist Book Conference. The Contemporary Artist Book Conference was started in 2008 as a way of creating a place for critical dialogue in the field of artist books. And it's been for a very long time organized by a group of volunteers, primarily librarians, but also some others in the field. And so starting in 2021, Center for Book Arts is going to be taking over the organization of the conference moving forward. And we're really excited because this organization of this conference is actually one of our new collaborative endeavors. So we're going to be presenting this at the Printed Matter Art Book Fair. Going forward in 2021, that's virtual, so you can find information about the virtual conference on our website. You can also register to receive admission to all the sessions on that site as well. And I think in the next week or so, we're going to be updating that with all of the people who are going to be presenting sessions at the 2021 Contemporary Artist Book Conference. So yeah, moving into 2021, we're going to be continuing all of our same programs that we've been doing this year with these 2 additional programs here. And with an extra focus on connecting the community internationally, focus on resources, providing as much information as we can to the field so that we can advance this medium. And I just want to wrap up finally by reminding everyone to check out our new website. As Devin mentioned in her video earlier, it was a lot of work and we're really excited for your feedback on it. So feel free to share your thoughts with us via email. I'm always available to talk to everyone. So if you want to send me an email, please feel free. I'm excited to meet you if we haven't met in person yet. With that, are we going to do breakout rooms, Jenna?
Yes, Kelsey is going to coordinate that.
Okay, so the breakout rooms is just an opportunity for us to get to know each other. So we're gonna sort everyone into small groups and allow a little time to meet other people in the community. So stay tuned, you'll be funneled into a small group in just a moment.
Sorry, just working on it right now.
Oh, thanks, Kelsey. And at this point, everyone, we can go ahead and unmute ourselves and turn our videos back on because the more formal aspect of the presentation is concluded. Hi, Asher.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
This is Asher Schlusselberg. He is our vice chairman of the board, and I can hear has a new baby in the background. Congratulations. Do each of the board members online want to unmute themselves and say hello to the community?
All right, well, I'm already unmuted, so I'll say hello. I just want to think it's been amazing to be a board member during this time and to see how people have rallied. I've been really impressed with the online classes and how they've developed. And I've reached out to several people. I helped to develop, I had developed a survey with Karina, and we reached out to a lot of former artist workspace participants, and we got some really good feedback, and trying to re-engage people who've been through that program to still stay connected to the program, as well as past members of the center who have sort of gone away into other directions. But thank you all, and it's really fun to see everybody here.
Thanks, Mimi. Tom, I see you're unmuted. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm overawed by how professional and skilled and articulate and thoughtful the staff is. So that's a trip. That's starting with the director. Director is part of the staff, but I'm really thrilled. It's just it's a different organization from the one that I started out with a few years ago, and it's very exciting. And I congratulate everyone on the staff for really beautifully interesting, thoughtful ways of engaging us.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. I see Bobby Brody is on. Do you want to say hello, Bobby?
Hi. I love how we've expanded our reach in the most surprising ways, including internationally. And of course, I'm really, really excited about the scholarly turn that we're taking, and really impressed with Theo's work in developing the collection and in making it so much more accessible and alive.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Bobby. That's a great point. PJ, Paul John, I see you're on the line. You're our newest board member, so we'd love to hear from you as well.
Hello, calling in from Maine. Yeah, it was really impressive. Always is.
Thanks, PJ.
I'm going to say one other thing. Over the weekend, I still haven't posted this on my social media, but I met with Karina and Maddie Rosenberg at the center. It's so much nicer to say met up rather than had a meeting. And I encourage anyone who can make, I think you need to make an appointment to see the exhibition, but the exhibition up right now is so wonderful. And it's got a really great range of work, new, old, things I've seen, things I haven't seen. And I just wanted to make that point for anyone who hasn't. And it's the first time I think it's the third time I've been in Manhattan from Brooklyn, the third time on the train. It was the first time I've seen art since March. And it was like, if I was going to see something, that was a great thing to make the effort to go visit.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Mimi. There's a link to make an RSVP on the exhibitions page of our website. So I think it was only open for another week. Is that right, Jenna?
It closes Saturday.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, you guys, you got to rush if you haven't seen it. All right, Kelsey, are we ready to go into our small group?
All right. Yep, I'll open the rooms now.
Okay, great. And I'm really looking forward to the next time that we get to do this in person. So thank you all for a wonderful 2020, and have a wonderful holiday.
Same to you, Karina, and to all of you.
Yeah.
Stay well, stay safe.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Yeah.